This is GSI News Weekly. Here is Bayo, Adenekan, and Carlene Walterhouse.
Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to this edition of GSI News Weekly. And our top story of this week is about the Occupy Vancouver movement we've been telling you about the past couple of weeks. With the Occupy Vancouver encampment threatening to define the November 19th civic election, city staff are expected to seek an injunction against protesters in court.
Adding to that, the death of 23-year-old Ashley Gow at the Occupy Vancouver campsite on Saturday has Mayor Gregor Robertson calling for all protesters to take down their tents. The injunction hearing began Tuesday afternoon at BC Supreme Court. City managers preceded the move by issuing a notice Monday morning asking all protesters to remove all tents and structures immediately. The notice, which came 2 days after a young Victoria woman was found dead, and 4 days after a man suffered a non-fatal overdose at the site, has become largely ignored by Occupy participants. Protesters acknowledged that some at the site were using hard drugs contrary to the organizers' no drug or alcohol policy, but said that is the reality of living in Vancouver. He added that the protesters would be holding their ground even if the city did in fact seek an injunction.
With the election less than 2 weeks away, Vision Mayor Gregor Robertson and his non-partisan association rival Suzanne Anton exchanged verbal blows of debate on the protest Monday morning. Robertson has moved to put an end to the camp, but it's unclear how hard his administration will push to vacate the art gallery property. Anton has been calling for the removal of the tent city for weeks, but has not fully explained how she would accomplish that goal. So, Carlene, do you like snowboarding or skiing?
I like skiing.
Oh, okay. Well, skiers and snowboarders at Cypress Mountain can claim the first honor to hit the slopes in BC this winter season. The West Vancouver Ski Hill celebrated its earliest ever opening day on Tuesday, claiming 30 centimeters of man-made snow on select north-facing runs. The slopes were also powdered with about 12 centimeters of snow on Monday. The Eagle Express quad chairlift is now open to intermediate and expert skiers and riders, but the ski hill says it's working to open more terrain before the weekend. More snow is in the forecast for later this week.
Also, the end of daylight savings this past weekend means that not only is winter fast approaching, but more motorists will be traveling on the road during peak traffic times without the benefit of daylight, making the commute much more dangerous. And so, to minimize the danger while on the roads after work, there are 2 simple tips: drive smart and don't fall asleep.
Now into some world news. The outgoing Prime Minister of Greece tried to hammer out the details of a historic power-sharing deal with the main opposition party leader on Monday to secure a financial rescue package for the desperate country. Socialist Prime Minister George Papandreou and Conservative leader Antonis Samaras held negotiations over the telephone hours after reaching the landmark agreement to form a coalition for the next 15 weeks. A new Greek interim government was announced today. The new 15-week government's main priority will be passing the new Euro 130 billion rescue package before elections take place.
And after Greece got a little closer to solving their financial problems, Italy became the latest target in Europe's financial crisis on Monday, as soaring rates intensified pressure on Premier Silvio to resign and let a new government reform the country's spendthrift ways. The prospect of a financial disaster became real when Italy's huge debts and slow growth became apparent. Unlike Greece, Ireland, and Portugal, the 3 countries that Europe has already bailed out, Italy's economy could be too large to rescue.
Thailand's flood crisis in Bangkok is likely to drag on for another month, as authorities issued another evacuation advisory in a northern neighborhood and floodwaters inch further into the city's heart. The country's energy minister said that floods may finally begin to subside in the capital by mid-November. The flooding began in late July and has killed 527 people so far, mostly due to drownings. Some provinces to the north of Bangkok have been inundated for another month, and waters have started to recede in recent days as massive pools of flow south.
Jurors of a Los Angeles courthouse found Dr. Conrad Murray guilty of involuntary manslaughter in Michael Jackson's death on Monday. The panel of 7 men and 5 women signaled to the court that they had reached a verdict around 11 a.m. local time. They'd begun deliberations on Friday and deliberated for less than 9 hours. Murray could be sentenced to a minimum of probation and a maximum of 4 years in jail. He will also likely lose his medical license.
Avril Lavigne has been left with a black eye and a bloody nose after being attacked by 5 people. The Canadian singer was enjoying an evening out with her boyfriend, the Hills star Brody Jenner, at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood on Saturday night when a group of 5 people turned on the couple, leaving her with a severely injured face.
And Justin Bieber will take a paternity test in an effort to disprove allegations that he fathered a child in a backstage bathroom. A paternity suit was filed last week against the singer by Maria Yeater, who claims that she had a brief sexual encounter after one of the singer's concerts last fall at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. A source close to the singer, who requests to remain anonymous, confirmed today that the Bieber team has made arrangements for such a test to be taken when he returns to North America.
And finally for us today, each year as the weather gets colder and Canadians bundle into jackets, hundreds of thousands of us make the simple gesture of pinning on a poppy.
Here is Gabriel Lynn with the full story.
For 90 years, Canadians have been wearing the poppy pin with great pride and solemnity during the 2-week period leading up to Remembrance Day on November 11. But this symbol of the sacrifices of war has seen pressures from the outside world recently, both by anti-violence dissenters and by its own success as a recognizable and idyllic totem. In recent years, the Royal Canadian Legion has been forced to address the appearance of the white poppy, a symbol embraced by anti-war groups to oppose violence. The implied suggestion is that if a pure white poppy celebrates peace, its blood-red brother somehow glorifies violence. Some groups have even gone so far to distribute the white flower pins ahead of Remembrance Day. White poppies were first adopted by British widows following the First World War and have made common appearances in British culture for decades. But their appearance in Canada over the past few years has caused growing controversy. Since the pin's introduction in 1921, members of the Royal Canadian Legion have politely asked passerby in cities and towns across the country to take a poppy in exchange for a small donation. The Legion raises roughly $16.5 million each year through the poppy campaign, all of which is spent within the local community to pay for medical equipment, home services, and long-term care facilities for ex-service people in need of financial assistance. One issue the poppy has not faced, Bill Maxwell, a senior program officer with the Royal Canadian Legion, said, is the loss of interest or esteem in the eyes of the public. He said everyone from elderly veterans to young school children still choose to remember the sacrifices made in war by wearing the pin. Despite society spinning toward virtual acts of respect, Maxwell says poppy distribution hasn't seen a decrease. Gabriel Lynn, GSI News, Surrey.
Okay, just before we go, remember during last week's newscast, we asked you the question, do you think that the beaver should continue to be Canada's national emblem, or should it be replaced by the polar bear? And you gave us some of your feedback, and here are some of the results.
A total of 125 people voted. 89 yes, the beaver should continue to be Canada's national emblem, while 36 voted no, the polar bear should become the new national symbol for Canada. So, if we look here, a shout out to Elena, she said yes, the beaver should continue to be Canada's national emblem, while Claire voted no in disagreement, and the polar bear should replace it. Bayo, what did you vote again?
I voted for the beaver.
Is that because the polar bear is white?
Just a little.
All right. Well, anyways, that wraps us up for today, but there are many ways you can stay in touch with us. You can watch our sportscast and other shows on youtube.com/the GSI VN. Also, you can visit our website at facebook.com/gsn.vn and follow us on Twitter at GSI_VN. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.